Good evening, welcome back to another episode of TD Online. This week, I'm not alone. I'm joined by someone who's been following the women's sport and, in particular, the women's Premier Division rugby in South Africa. She goes by the name of Latifah Boomgard. Thank you for joining me this evening. So, workspace and not just in a social space, it's actually quite different.
It's more professional.
You think? That's no, I'm actually professional. Right? So, as you know, the Women's Premier Division is getting to the business end of the season, and Latifah's been following the tournament quite closely. Last week, we spoke to Melissa Hughes from the Blue Bulls, and she gave us a bit of a rundown on how things are going on the Blue Bulls side of things. The Blue Bulls did have a very good victory over the EP Queens this past weekend, 17-43, and then the Sharks going down to Western Province, 10-0. But the fixture you focused mainly on was the Border Ladies versus the Boland Dames. And the reason Latifah focused on this game was because we were from Border. That's going to chat to us a bit later. But to that, Latifah, what do you make of that game? The tournament as a whole, what do you think?
The tournament as a whole, there's been a lot of ups and downs for all teams. For the Border Ladies, it was a tough game to start with, but towards the end, I feel like they picked up everything on both sides. But you could obviously see that it was a tough match for
both teams. Do you think that fatigue kicked in and
Definitely.
It became more mental than physical at the end?
Definitely. After halftime, definitely they started slacking, but they pushed through to try and make the most of it till the last minute.
And I think it's quite crazy because if you look at it, the women's teams are mainly semi-professional athletes, so you can't expect the same output that you'd expect from a professional team from them. So do you think that has a big role to play in the entire performance of the team?
Definitely.
Which part of it? I think it gets quite interesting if you look at it. Obviously, going later on into the game, and if you look at it, the discipline as well on the latest stages of the game, it starts to kick in, and the discipline just slides out of the door.
They're not. I don't think that they have the same discipline as professional, and the drive obviously isn't as high. But you can see that they push for that. They push to reach a level where they hope that they do eventually qualify, that they make the best out of what they can.
And it's crazy. I think it's quite nice to see that the women themselves are pushing themselves to the limits so that we can actually turn the sport in South Africa, and our women can aspire to be greats. Like on the men's side, you look at the Daniel Carters, the Brian Banners, all of those amazing players. If you look at the log, it's quite interesting because we do know that in this tournament, the top two teams will qualify for the final. But it's all set in stone because you've got the Border Ladies team that are leading on 20 points and they sailing into the final unstoppable, whereas Western Province are a good 11 points behind them. And it just looks like these are your teams for the final because with the Blue Bulls women sitting on 8 points and then also the EP Queens on 7, it just looks like it's near impossible to catch Border or Western Province. What do you think of that? What do you make of a final Border versus Western Province?
I think it will be tough as well because both teams are, I don't want to say fully qualified, but they have the strength in them to either win it or from the start or push.
I think it's interesting if you look at it. I mean, if you look at the style that the women play, Border play a very structured game, but they have flair at the same time. Whereas Western Province as well, because many of those players come from a touch rugby background, and if you look how they implement it in their style of play, I mean, it's rugby that is easily appealing to any South African because that ball has just been spread from wing to wing all the time.
It's it never loses your attention. It has your attention from the beginning right till the end. And I feel like with both teams, that's what the final will be like.
Yep, I'm excited for it. Hope you are too. Do you want to tell the viewers what we can expect later on in the show?
We will be talking with Lusanda Dumke about her journey becoming a Springbok player, 7s and 15s. And we will then be talking about.
We're going to be chatting to Almaas, one of South Africa's favorite gymnasts, turned into a gymnastics coach, and now she's doing the things overseas. Building up to the Olympics, we've seen that South Africa, Johannesburg in specific, has had so many Olympians, people Olympics, not just Olympians, and we look to be chatting to them in the near future. But for now, stay tuned. After this break, we're going to be chatting more about women's rugby. We're going to hear what's happening in the Baller camp. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure having some of South Africa's top athletes on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Lusanda, tell us a bit about your background and where you grew up, and a bit about your rugby history.
Okay. As you have said, I'm Lusanda Dumke. I'm originally from Transkei, Tanzania. I grew up there, and then I moved to East London after I've lost my mom. I've never saw my father. He died 10 days before I was born. And then I moved to East London. I used to play netball, and I used to do athletics as well. But when I moved to East London, then I was immediately introduced to rugby, and then I never looked back.
Mm.
Your love for rugby started at a young age, Lusanda.
Yes.
What drove you and motivated you to reach these great levels?
When I started playing it was just for fun. I never thought I could go far, especially for a girl coming from rural areas where there is no one that is playing sport professionally now. So it started as something that I was just doing it for the sake of doing it. But whenever I play, people used to say that I will one day play for the national team, and I had hope, even though that I couldn't. But I had that thing that maybe I'm going far. So the same year I was introduced to it, and then I went to the border trials. Then I got selected there, and then I was made a captain, of which I couldn't understand because I didn't know anything about captaincy. And then I didn't know anything about rugby as well. So from there, I went to the under 16s tournament. Then I was selected again for the SA high performance squad, and then that's when I started thinking that maybe I might play for the national team.
I mean, from there, you said that you were made the captain, and how has the leadership role helped you as a player and as a person, allowing that role to rub off on those around you? And how do you find it? Was it easy stepping into a leadership role, or did you find it quite difficult stepping into a leadership role and leading the border team?
For me, man, I joined the border team at the age of 16, turning 17. So I was fortunate enough to play with the senior players. So I could see leadership from them. And then before being a captain, I was I was the third captain actually in the team. Now they selected a captain, a vice captain, and then me, of which they told me that they were building me. So from those processes, I learned a lot. So even now, I'm captaining a very young team, which is easy because us girls most and mood swings, but these girls, I'm captaining girls that are willing to learn. And there's a few of the senior players that are always a guideline for me. So I wouldn't say it's hard, and I wouldn't say it's easy. It's just a learning process for me.
Latifah's been following the Women's Premier Division quite closely. Have you got any questions relating to that?
I would like to know your views on the tournament till now regarding the border ladies. What thoughts do you have on their performance up till now?
Well, again, I didn't get that.
What thoughts do you have on the performance of the borders ladies in the tournament?
Ma'am, I don't want to lie. I'm very impressed with the ladies. I know that they are a very young team, man, and I can tell you that even before we started the tournament, nobody had hope. Some some were saying that we won't even make it to the top four, if I must say. But the girls have been showing a lot of people that they are good enough to be here. They are making me proud in each and every game. I don't want to lie, and I believe there's still more to come in this border team.
No, definitely. I mean, smooth sailing to the final. I mean, the girls are flying. It doesn't look like any team will be catching you anytime soon. Talking about that, the tournament, give us a bit of a background on your team and your teammates and where they come from and what it was like for your coaches and yourself as a leader in the team to get this tournament going and actually putting this team together that now tops the lot.
Us as border team, we are not fortunate enough, man, because some of us are coming from Transkei, in Mthatha, some are coming from Tuutjwa, some are coming from Montfrey, some are from Queenstown, which is like some are far, some are close, but most of the players are far, which makes it a bit difficult for the management now to train us or to have come with us. So the only option they have now is to maybe call us over the weekends because some of us are working, you get. So it's a bit difficult. It was a bit difficult for them to combine the team. And some will say, I can't come because I'm writing. Some will say, I'm still working. My boss doesn't allow me to come. So it was difficult, but they still made an effort that we all come and they were able to select their final team.
I think to sum up, we can call them our working class heroes. For the girls that have to work and play rugby at the same time, you were fortunate enough to get contracted last year, but before that, you've also followed a similar route. What is it like, and how do you manage work and a professional rugby career at the same time? Looks like we just had a breaking connection. Lusanda will be on us in a second.
Sorry.
Oh, there she is. Lusanda, we just had a breaking connection there. Can you just repeat that for us, please?
Sorry, I just got a call, but I dropped it. Sorry. You were saying?
I was saying, like, the women's team is definitely working class heroes. And for yourself, before you were contracted in a professional setup, what was it like going to work a 9 to 5 and then filling into what would be deemed a professional rugby career? How did you manage them both at the same time? There's been a breaking sound. We can't hear you, Lusanda. Can you just repeat that, please? That was Lusanda. Dumke, what do you make of a story this far?
So far, I feel like that is a very inspirational story. From a background like hers to where she is now, it shows that effort and hard work can get to where you want to be.
I mean, you've been in the sporting fraternity for quite a while. You've played sport yourself. What are some of the clear discrepancies that makes it more difficult for a female than a male, other than like society judging females?
For females are mainly seen as feminine, which makes it harder for them to also be seen as a sporty type, someone who's good at athletics, compared to guys who are natural. It's able for them to just start to get in there. The men's sport itself has more coverage compared to the women in South Africa, or I think across the world actually.
Looks like we've got Lusanda back. Lusanda, back to where we were. Just sort of give us like a bit of a background on, like, I asked for you as a female athlete before you got contracted. What was it like balancing a work life and a professional rugby career at the same time?
Before being contracted, there was no meaning of international rugby. So it was a matter of playing provincial rugby, going to national camps. So it wasn't that difficult. Even when I got contracted, and then I applied at Western Cape, which is CPUT, and then I decided to do part-time, because then I was with the service. I was contracted. So my day was with the team, and then maybe around 5 I go to classes, because I decided to apply for part-time just to balance my life with rugby now and academics.
Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
I see you have quite a number of accolades on your side as well. 4th year Player of the Year, under 18 sevens Player of the Tournament. That list just continues. What can we expect from you in the future?
A lot. a lot. For now, I just want to make the World Cup team that is going to New Zealand, and then after that, I just hope to get a professional contract overseas, and of course get more awards, more performance awards.
For the World Cup, Lusanda, what can we expect from the SA women's team, and from you specifically? What should we look forward to?
Pardon? Can you repeat that?
For the SA team in the World Cup, what can we look forward to, specifically focusing on you or the team as a whole?
From the team, you guys must expect a fighting team. I know it's not going to be easy, especially that we've been out for quite some time. We just hope to get there and compete, not just being there for the sake of being there, but to compete, display good rugby. And for me, as an individual, a great performance, man, a great performance. And some leadership skills in the field and out of the field. And yeah, man, great performance. Leadership
You ladies have put a lot of prep into getting ready for the tournament, and with the tournament being shifted a year later, has that somewhat impacted you as a player or disrupted the camp quite a bit? Or do you feel like the ladies are still on the same page and still ready? Actually, this break is allowing you to prepare better for the tournament coming up next year?
No, not at all, man. It just gave us a more time to prepare ourselves and to prepare a team as well. And some of the girls are still behaving for their injuries, of which I think it's time now. It gives them time to heal properly for us and to understand each other better in terms of how we play, and to actually get enough time to prepare ourselves and our minds for the World Cup.
Lusanda, what would you like for women's sport in general? How would you like to see women's sport move forward?
I wish I can see more of the girls being contracted I wish we can see more of us playing on TV, getting more sponsors. And I just hope some of the girls can also get a contract to play overseas and to get exposure, man. And yeah, man, getting more contracts, getting sponsors. Yeah. More
You've been on a journey with the women's team, with South African sport as a whole, and you've seen it move from a very amateur state to which is now, you could call it semi-professional. From the time that you started to now, what are some of the clear changes that you've seen in the industry and in the sporting fraternity as a whole?
I think there's the number of contracted players is increased compared to previously, and there's a thing now that some of our games are being televised, which is new to us because we're only getting that on for the World Cup. So that is new for us, but I just wish we can get more of the games being televised, not only one game a week, but all of the games that are being played in that particular week.
And I think that definitely helped, because if it wasn't for your games being televised, I don't think we'd be able to know of the likes of Lusanda and the likes of the rest of those Melissa Hughes that we interviewed last week. I don't think we'd know of all of these rugby players.
Personally, I feel like women's sport doesn't get the recognition that it needs or that they deserve. And in time, hopefully the next 10 years, 15 years, everything that Lusanda will be achieved.
Definitely, I think from a sporting front, that would be perfect. Lusanda, any last thoughts that you want to leave to all your followers, your supporters? I know that you've got a big fan base around the country. Any message that you have for them, and any shout outs that you'd like to make?
A message for who?
I said, we know that you have a big following and a support base around. Any shout outs that you'd like to send out before we do let you go and get back to training?
Of course. Guys, please don't stop supporting us. We really appreciate your support. We wouldn't go this far if it wasn't for you guys. So keep supporting us, keep supporting women's sport as a whole in South Africa. We really appreciate your support, and with you we can go far. Thank you.
Wise words from the border captain there. They saw in top of the log, and we'll be getting comfortable and ready for the final dance at the finals of the Women's Premier Division. Lusanda, thank you so much for your time this evening. Wish you all the best for the rest of the tournament and good luck in the finals.
Thank you. We still have second round to go to, but thank you for having me. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. We look forward to chatting to you very, very soon. And once you have the medal over your shoulders and the titles in your hand, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Lusanda. Dumke, what do you think of the story? I mean, it's so inspirational, so motivational at the same time.
Definitely is for children or the youth currently looking up to her as a role model, seeing that where she came from versus where she is now, different backgrounds.
It's nice to see the transition,
yes,
actually, from where she started and how she's actually come to where she is now. It's nice to see a success story like that, and it just shows that sport can be an outlet for many South Africans to strive for a better life for themselves. And with her circumstances being better, she now can uplift her family and those around her to aspire to be great, just like her. What a motivation.
Currently, I know she has her own coaching team back home, and I feel like for giving back to the community, that is a great way. As she grew up there, she started there, and now she's big in the country and can feed from her experience down to the others.
Yep, amazing story. quite amazing. But well, that's it from us for this evening. We look forward to definitely chatting to everybody soon. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't be afraid to like, share, and comment. So cliche, but it definitely helps us, and definitely helps the women's sport. It helps our show, our athletes get the reach, and maybe someone on your timeline might just be the person to sponsor them or help them achieve things off the field that they'd like to achieve. But well, stay tuned to TE Online. Up next, we're going to be chatting to a gymnast and a world-renowned gymnastics coach now, Almaas. She's currently over in Bermuda, and she's going to the world. She goes by the name of Almaas Harris, and she's going to be telling us a bit about her journey in sport and how she managed to explore the world through what she calls her job. Good morning, Almaas.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Just to give the viewers a bit of a background on who you are, can you just explain what you're currently getting up to and know exactly what you're doing?
Okay, so I'm Almaas Harris. I'm 26 years old, and I'm an artistic gymnastics coach. I started gymnastics at the age of 6, and it was pretty much my life for most of my younger years. And then after my successful career, I decided to focus on school for a bit, and then just really felt a little bit lost, and then decided to come back as a coach and fell in love with the sport all over again. So I started coaching at Johannesburg Gymnastics Center in Newlands in South Africa, and had the opportunity to come over here and teach high performance development gymnastics. So definitely took the opportunity with both hands, and I'm really enjoying it. I really do love the sport, and I love being able to teach the next generation just how amazing it is.
Was for a normal individual like myself that is not too clued up on gymnastics, what exactly is artistic gymnastics?
Okay, so artistic gymnastics is a combination of a whole lot of other disciplines of gymnastics. So it includes tumbling, it includes flexibility, it includes strength. We have 4 apparatus, uneven bars, which is a lot of swinging and tumbling. We have the floor exercise, which is the tumbling aspect. We have the balance beam, which is it's exclusive to women's artistic gymnastics. And then we have the vault, which is a run up and then a tumble over a horse and then a land. There's many disciplines, and there's also women's artistic gymnastics and men's artistic gymnastics. I specialize in women's artistic gymnastics.
Nice. And how did you come across the sport?
So my older sister, Nadia, started gymnastics at her school. And at one of the competitions, her coach saw me doing a little bit of cartwheels here and there. And so, yeah, that's when I was kind of, plucked from the bunch and fell in love with it immediately. The discipline and the hard work that needs to be put into the sport is just phenomenal. So, yeah, taught me a lot of life lessons too.
Talking about life lessons, you've managed to go quite high up within South Africa's ranking in artistic gymnastics. Tell us a bit more about your journey towards getting your national colors.
So I actually got my national colors at the age of 12. I had been doing gymnastics for about 8 years by that time. And then I went on to represent South Africa at the Rose Bowl International, which is in England. And then later on in that year, I went to African Championships, where I came 3rd overall in the Junior Olympic section. And as a team in South Africa, we came 1st overall. So that was when I received my colors, and yeah, it was an unforgettable moment. And then also when I went to Rose Bowl, I had actually gotten my first overseas gold medal, so my first international gold medal, which was a really big deal at the time. So yeah, I think it's definitely one of my highlights.
You mentioned that it's an unforgettable moment. I mean, tell us about it. Like when you got that call to say that you've been selected for the national team, what was it like?
It was incredible. It was working because it is a huge responsibility.
Mhm.
But yeah, I remember I was at the gym working my butt off, and my coach came to me and she said, "Listen, you've made the team. We're gonna go represent South Africa." And it was the most amazing part was that African Champs was actually held in Cape Town. So we got to have it on our home turf, and we got to meet a whole lot of other African gymnasts from all around Africa. It was incredible. And then yeah, just being at the competition, I remember every moment. It was so exciting. We had lots of fun. We learned a lot. So yeah, it was an incredible experience.
You took about African Championships, and we currently in an Olympic year, and South Africa looks to be on good footing going to the Olympics with most of our sports. When it comes to gymnastics, what are some of the clear, let's say, inequalities, if you want to call it that, or let's say the levels between South Africa and the rest of the world? Because I can't remember when last South Africa got gold at an Olympic Games.
Yeah, so because we're still a developing sport, and we don't get much from the government, we don't really have many funds. It is very difficult to grow the sport. However, we actually do have a South African gymnast named Caitlin Rosecrans, who actually comes from the same gym that I coached at, who's qualified for the Olympics. So she's going to be going this year. So it is a huge deal for us. She's also our first colored gymnast to make it to the Olympics. So it's a really, really big deal. But yeah, if I think about my previous coach, it took her years and years and generations of gymnasts, to be able to develop the knowledge to be able to actually produce an Olympic gymnast. So it's not something that happens overnight. It's a very difficult sport to model quite a young age. It's a career. So yeah, and it took us quite a long time to get our footing. But yeah, we finally showing up on an international stage. So we definitely getting there.
We're heading there. But do you think it's from a high performance setup in terms of physical fitness, or is it more the technicalities where we're lacking and that we need to work on so that we can be on level footing with the rest of the world and hopefully one day have, let's say, gold, silver, and bronze coming back to South Africa?
Yeah, no, it is definitely, I think physical fitness, we're definitely on par with everyone. We still need to work on our skill level. But that also something that happens over, many, many years. And I see each generation that we coach, each generation gets better and more skillful. So the generations coming up behind Caitlin Rosecrans are just as strong as she is. They're working their butts off. So we definitely, I would say, give us about one more cycle of, because we have our 11, 12-year-olds coming up that are super strong. They are throwing skills that are really, really tough. Strength-wise, we're definitely on par with the rest of the world. So we're definitely coming up. It's still a big journey, but we've got a really good squad coming up. Yeah, there they are. So yeah, we're getting there.
It's so nice to see that, like South Africa is actually getting on par with the rest of the world. And soon we can start gold medals home. It's just like amazing to see it, because everybody always sees the US and Australia, for example, and people are wondering, why can South Africa not produce the same? There's so many contributing factors in terms of population size, in terms of the science behind it, the sports science aspect. You managed to go over to Bermuda.
Yep.
What's it like over there? Are you enjoying life, living it up?
Yeah. It is definitely a culture change. Everyone here is really, really friendly. The weather is amazing. Living next to the ocean is really, really fun. And then getting to coach these kids. They're at the same point where we were back home a couple of generations ago. So to be able to get them to a point where because there's a mental shift that needs to happen that I think took South Africa quite a while, but we at that point where we actually believe that we can get to where we want to be. So to be able to bring that over here and tell these kids, listen, where you are now is not where you can be. And the only thing stopping you is your mind, because your body is definitely able to do what it needs to do. So getting to teach that as well as gymnastics over here is it's a big responsibility, but it's also, it gives you the feels, you know, the warm feels when you can actually get them motivated and stuff. So yeah, it's a big project, but I'm ready to give it a go.
We spoke about the fields. Let's get into a bit of the fields.
Yeah.
Moving to like being a city girl, and then obviously moving out to, let's say, the ocean, away from gymnastics. What is it like? Was it easy settling in? Do you enjoy life over there? Couldn't compare to home, but I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Do you love it over there?
I do. Everything here is much slower. It's the island life is, everybody's chilled. You know, we only start work at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and you know,
nice.
It's very slow down. And at first when I got here, I was like, listen, we need to get going, we need to get things done. You know, we have things to do, and we have these little kids that need to come up in the ranks, and we need to start, you know. So it's a very big culture shift. Back home, our kids work, you know, 6 days a week, 4 hours to 6 hours a day. So they're committed from a young age. By the time they're 7 and 8 years old, it's a career. You know, it's school and it's gymnastics. There's nothing else. Whereas here, you know, everybody's doing multiple sports, and you know, a lot later. So we definitely have less time in the gym. So it's a big shift for me to you know, reprogram the way I coach in a way that suits them. So yeah, that shift was a little bit unexpected, and you know, a lot to get used to. Back home with the whole go, everything's high performance gymnastics. We all want to get to the top, and here it's much more relaxed. And so definitely having to shift my mindset was a big deal. But now that I've you know, grown accustomed to everything, I'm just like, you know, it could work. So, but it doesn't compare to home. I don't think it ever will. You know.
What do you miss the most from home?
I'm not gonna lie, I miss the food. I definitely miss the food.
In specific, which dish, so we know what to send over to you?
I miss biryani, and weirdly enough, pro neutral. Like, I really miss my pro neutral. So yeah, those are the two things. But yeah, when I come here, and you know, the weather's always really good, and you know, you get to ride around a little scooter, and you know, everything is a lot more expensive because it is island life. Everything's imported. But also the salary is a little bit better here. So you know, pros and cons.
Yeah, it balances out quite a bit.
Definitely.
And if you look at it, I mean, you look to be enjoying yourself there and living it up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's loads of fun.
If you recall that. And I mean, Bermuda, South Africa, do you feel like there should be somewhat of an exchange program so that our athletes can come over there and experience life? Slow them down a bit, because like you said, it's just school and gymnastics in South Africa, and give them a bit of a holistic view of how life should be, if you want to call it that, and getting those athletes in Bermuda over to South Africa and sort of giving them a bit of a kickstart and some booma so they know how things are done in South Africa. Do you think something like that would help?
We've actually already started having discussions with my former boss, Ilse Palser. I've actually said to her, listen, you guys need to come over. We have to have like a little international competition so you guys can see what it's like here. And I think it's really, really important for the kids here to see what their potential is, because the kids that are the same age that are in South Africa are, you know, years ahead of them. And I remember when we started gymnastics and we started traveling, and we got to see, you know, the level of gymnastics that kids our age were doing, it really gave us like a kick under our butts. We were like, listen, if they can do what they are doing, we can do, you know, just as well. So, and I think that's how, you know, each generation got better and better as we progress. So I think to bring South African kids this side and just be like, listen, Bermudans, you guys, you know, they have so much potential. So I think it would be beneficial for both sides, definitely, to have a little exchange journey. So hopefully when COVID dies down, we can have a little international competition. I think it would be so much fun.
I think it definitely would. It will open the eyes of so many athletes, just to give them a different aspect about life. Because as we know, gymnastics is a individual sport,
Yep.
and insane individual sport. You've participated for a number of years. What mental impact did it have on you? Because it's you versus you. There's no teammates that can motivate you or uplift you if you've messed up. How do you think that affects you as an athlete?
I think there's a big misconception in terms of gymnastics that it's only an individual sport. It actually also has a team element to it. Especially when you go overseas, you compete first as a team and then you make individual finals. So I actually grew up with an amazing team of people, and we're actually still friends today. So there's lifelong friendships to be made in gymnastics, which to me is amazing. And then also just realizing that the sport is more than just you, that you have other people counting on you. It just gives you that, it humbles you, and it gives you that sense of responsibility that you actually grow up to enjoy. So there's a lot of life lessons that I've learned from gymnastics. Making sure that you put your teammates in front of yourself, and bringing that into my coaching, making sure that my gymnasts come first, and their health and their safety and their mental fitness comes before me. So it's definitely it definitely teaches you the life lessons that you need if you want to be successful. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about that. I mean, you had quite a journey as an athlete, a gymnast, and now obviously being a coach. What are some of the lessons that you take from participation and implement it into your coaching?
That's a lovely question. There's many things that I've come to learn, and the biggest thing for me is first fall in love with the sport, and bring that to the forefront. So with us, we were trained really hard and we worked really hard, and if it wasn't for the love of the sport, we wouldn't have stayed as long as we did. So that for me is the biggest thing to instill in my kids, is to really enjoy themselves, to have fun, and from that we can grow and become really strong. And then another thing that I've learned is that physical fitness is really, really, really important. And it's actually brought me to a point where I'm thinking this, because I want to get to a point where I'm preventing injuries in the way that I train. So that's another thing that I learned from, as a gymnast. I was a really, really strong kid, and it helped me. It made gymnastics that much easier. So just instilling that from a young age, being like, listen, if we work really hard from now, we can get to a point where, gymnastics is just that much easier. So there's, and then also just the mental side of gymnastics. You can be as strong as you want to be, or as weak as you are. If you're mentally tough, you can get anywhere. So that for me is the biggest thing, is that it's not necessarily the talented kids that become the most amazing kids. It's the hardworking kids. It's the kids that don't give up and that believe in themselves. So to instill that from a young age and be like, listen, we don't use we don't use can't. It's not a word that's in our vocabulary. So I have my 6-year-olds, when they say, oh, I can't do this, and I say, excuse me, and they're like, no, I can't do this, and then they go and try. So to get that from the get-go for me is the most thing. So yeah, that's one thing I've taken from being a gymnast, is that you just need to grit your teeth and go for it.
Such a bully. Such a bully.
Sometimes you have to bully yourself. You need to get going,
just that bit of a kickstart to get things going. And I mean, you said you want to study biokinetics, and it's crazy because sport is evolving at such a fast rate that there's biokineticists are so much it's needed in the sport fraternity, and as well as sports scientists and dietitians, and all of these things come together and give getting a complete athlete.
Definitely, yeah.
That's
why I say teamwork is the big deal. It's not one individual that gets to a certain point. Like I look at Caitlin Rosecrans and the team that surrounds her wouldn't have gotten to where we were without her, and she wouldn't have gotten to where she was without the whole team. So there are a whole lot of players involved in
Yeah.
in the sport, and I think that's why it's so difficult to get a strong team going. So hats off to all the other countries who have been doing this for generations. It really is. It takes a lot.
And it's almost like we're playing catch up, because I mean, only now in South Africa you'd see that sports scientists are getting appointed in our professional sports team. The same with dietitians, and as well as biokineticists. So, what's it like over there? Are they on that level where they're getting people in, let's say, specific fields to look after the athletes?
Listen, we are starting it. We're getting going, but they are really behind. It's very much a recreational sport now. But we definitely have a lot, to get going. And as I said, it takes generations to build a team. So if we want to start a team over here, we need to start with the 5 and 6 year olds. It's almost late to start with the teens. So even though we have a strong team now that are working towards it, we need to start from the younger generation. That takes 10, 12 years before we can get a team. So that is another thing to take into account, is that it's, you have to build the kid up. So and like we said, there's a lot of players involved, and we need to actually start implementing it here. We do have a physiotherapist that we working with, and then we also have a psychologist that we've just brought on to start working with the kids, especially during the COVID times. It's very difficult to stay motivated. So we've got Doc Ali from the States coming in to do some Zoom lessons with us to get the kids motivated. So we're getting there, slowly but surely.
That's super cool, just to show that there's like effort that's been made. And I think that's enough, if you call it that, because as long as there's effort and there's a continuous will to grow and to become better at what you do, the results will start speaking for themselves.
Definitely, hopefully.
Almaas, it's 2021.
Crazy.
Where can we expect to see you? What are some of your personal goals that you have for the next 5 years, or let's say in the next Olympic cycle?
Okay. Definitely to get my degree in biokinetics. I think that for me is my top priority. So definitely within the next few years, I'll be studying again. And then I've actually wanted to start coaching collegiate gymnastics. I've always found it a lot more fun in terms of just, having a ball. It's still high level gymnastics, which is what I enjoy coaching. But it's also at a bit more of a fun level. So I think, and that's one thing that I realized when I got here, is that I do like performance, but I also, don't really enjoy the stressful side of it. So I want to get to a point where I'm coaching the kids that have just come from the Olympics and gymnastics, but they really want to have fun with it and, go crazy and compete with other universities. So that for me, I think would be the ultimate goal, is to get going with that. I think that would be exciting to do for a couple of years.
Nice. Look, we're definitely looking forward to it, and we're gonna keep a close eye on everything that you're getting up to. So hopefully we can have you on the show soon. Almaas, thanks for your time this afternoon. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for inspiring South Africans back home and showing them that the sky is not the limit, and giving hope to everybody back home that impossible is nothing, and there's so many avenues to go down in sport. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it, and I hope you get your Pronito soon. We'll do our best to see what we can do over on this side. But other than that, have a lekker afternoon, and keep well. We'll chat soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As a correction to Almaas's statement, the first colored artistic gymnast to qualify is Ashley Helsinger. And the 2 gymnasts to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics is Caitlin Rosekrans and Nivan Deris. From TD Online team and I would like to say thank you for tuning in tonight, and we hope to see you guys next week as well.